I'm a proud audiologist. I'm a proud speech-language pathologist. I've learned much already. I continue to learn every day from my clients, people around me, and from many other sources. The more I learn, I realize afresh that there is so much yet to learn. I've learned to be compassionate by handling pain felt by people with challenges. I've learned empathy, and with that, I enhance the trust and faith between my clients, their caregivers, and myself. I keep an open mind to receive new ideas, new techniques, and a questing mind to test them for their safety and feasibility. It is with a healthy team spirit that I work with allied health professionals, caregivers, and persons with disabilities. And my innate training helps me to break walls and build bridges between people. How could I have become an audiologist or speech-language pathologist and be given so much without the inception of the profession 5 golden decades ago? Surely this history is worth narrating. Early beginnings. In 1960, a licentiate of the Australian College of Speech Therapists, Mrs. Dorothy Nazareth, undertook an appointment to work with cerebral palsied children at the Children's Orthopaedic Hospital in Bombay. The real milestone is accounted when Dr. John Duffy, one of the audiology leaders from USA, visited as a Fulbright Fellow to India in the year 1961. He journeyed the length and breadth of India, including Nair Hospital and Nagpur Medical College. It was in late 1962 and early 1963 that 3 persons returned to India with diploma, degree in the fields of speech therapy, audiology, and speech pathology: Miss Saker Cooper, Dr. N. Ratna, and Mr. Ramesh Oza, respectively. It was through the untiring efforts of Dr. L. H. Hiranandani, then the professor and head of department of ENT at BYL Nair Charitable Hospital, that the seeds were sown in January 1963 by starting clinical services of what was to become the first full-fledged audiology and speech therapy school, not just in India but in Southeast Asia.
The 70s, in fact the speech, language or the hearing problems were handled only by the medical fraternity, maybe a general physician or a family doctor or even a compounder, to whom people used to go and say that they have some problems, the child are not able to hear. And I don't think there was anything like people knew that we existed, that is a speech language pathologist or an audiologist.
No one knew what to do with such cases. Parents would take the advice of the medical professionals and do accordingly.
Before the speech and hearing profession came in India, I think we have more than 100 years of history having a schools for the hearing impaired or the deaf in India. The first school was established in Mumbai way back in 1890, and the second school came up in Kolkata in 1893. So maybe the children with deafness were being catered in the special school area.
Any discipline really takes its place when there is need at the population level, and when some of the disciplines talk about a problem, a jargon, by 10% of them or more, then a discipline forms. Accordingly, rightly so, our field or people with the speech and hearing problems were for a long time attended by a wide variety of other persons, other professionals that were started.
The medical practitioners would ask the parents even to wait till the age of 5 years, which is in practice even today.
Well, it was, I think, well over 5 years, especially if it happened to be a problem with, development of appropriate speech for the age, or any fluency problem that we say. We used to call them as, stammering those days. Or stammering was, I think, one problem, or one of the communication problem, which I think was well known, at least in terms of people, being aware of it, and people used to diagnose it and then do something about it.
First of all, I cannot say what is the proper age at which the children were diagnosed, but I would say that it was more of a role of the grandparents, parents, and the siblings who were involved in the diagnosis of communication disorders. More so of grandparents who are probably not seen today because of single families, and I think it was a school for the deaf, which used to take in the students probably at the age of 5 to 6 years.
But the diagnosis is something. I can substantiate with the study of Dr. Gayatri Sirur, where in 1987 the age of identification vis-a-vis diagnosis was about 44 months, and in 2008 it had come down to 26 months with reference to children with hearing impairment. So this is pure incidental growth. There has never been an organized effort to identify children or persons with hearing and speech problem at an earlier age. In children with mental retardation, it was, but children with autism had real problem. I don't think we ever had opportunity of identifying. We always used the word brain damage, and along with children with brain damage, and along with the neurologists, we also use the word called minimal brain damage. So this is how things were opening. But as compared to today, I think we applied science and technology available at that time genuinely, fully well in reaching people.
Before the profession started in India, the speech and hearing problems were identified as and when it occurred only through grandmother and others, and was handled, and therapy was given by teachers for the deaf, psychologists, and there were no skill training programs available in the country till 1970.
Well, I must say it was terrible from the point of view of medical professionals, because very few were aware of the speech and hearing problems and the management and all that, and others were rather ridiculing the professionals. After our bachelor's degree, when we went for looking for jobs, they used to say we would be treated similar to an attendant. That was the case. They used to treat us as low-class technicians rather at that time.
Two things stood out when I joined the course. Many people felt that this was a course for women who will teach sign language to people who are hearing impaired. So these were the two prevailing thought process of people who were speech therapists. It was thought that it was something you could do in your home, you could be like a teacher, and medical professionals felt that they would refer patients to us who they could not help any longer.
Society saw us. They only when they used to ask, okay, what are you doing? I say I'm doing my graduate program in speech engineering. The first thing they ask, I say I'm an audiologist. They say, are you a cardiologist? No, not a cardiologist, audiologist. They ask next, are you an ENT? I said, no, not an ENT. Then what are you then? That means you're a technician, you're a compounder. So they thought that only a doctor can be a person who can deal with the speech and hearing problems, and anybody besides that will be a paramedic or some kind of a very low level personnel who took orders from the medical professionals and who acted on prescription.
One group of people welcomed us. There were another group of people who saw us as a very strong contenders or competitors. The neurologists were also, they said, you are all guys trained in peripheral loss, how can you handle central loss? This was the question. But the simple point is that we were not getting the kind of recognition or understanding of what we can contribute at that time from medical profession.
First of all, there was absolutely no problem in getting the program. I call it as program and not a course. The program recognized by the University of Mysore. There was a debate as to whether the program should go into the health faculty or the science faculty. But I think the then faculty and the director chose it to be the science faculty because of the papers or the courses which were there in electronics and linguistics. So it came under the science faculty. And I think the University of Mysore was very helpful, and absolutely there were no challenges in getting the program recognized.
The course that was started at All India Institute of Speech and Hearing had no problem in getting recognition from the university, as the Chancellor of the University of Mysore, the then Maharaja of Mysore, was very much interested in this course because he was very well aware of it. Even he had offered land, building, furniture from the palace to start this institute. So it was quite encouraging from the point of view of university.
Well, in 1996, the first course in Eastern India was started by me in Eastern Regional Center of Aliyawajang National Institute for Hearing Handicap under the Kolkata University. It was indeed a great pleasure for me when we got a good help from all the faculty members from the university, right from the Vice Chancellor to Registrar, and we got the help from our own headquarters in Mumbai and other professionals, even those who are doing private practice, those who are senior to us like Babul Basu, they also came and helped us in our training program.
Well, I was lucky because in Manipal, in fact, when I joined, 3 audiologists had already been served here. They all came from the All India Institute of Speech and Hearing, the masters, post-graduation and graduation. So they were doing excellent clinical services, and the hospital and the management knew about the profession and the role of the specialist. So it was not very difficult for me to usher in the idea of starting a graduate program. And we also had Dr. Karanth, who was instrumental in starting the program in Dr. M. V. Shetty's college. So we already had a precedence in the Mangalore University, and then subsequently only we started. But I did have problem in the Board of Studies meetings where we had a lot of medical personnel who were there when we had discussed the curriculum and the timetable and the support of the other medical faculty to teach our students. For example, many were, they were asking as to why do you have to read so much of anatomy or physiology or about ENT. They said ultimately what do you want to be? So they were comparing us to the medical students and said you don't need to know so many things.
In a medical institution, and the challenges definitely were in having to work in a medical institution and have a body like the Rehabilitation Council recognize your course. It had its pluses because the MCI was parallel and it could be done. But understanding, making a medically oriented university understand how a program like speech and hearing would function in a medical center took quite a lot of work. And I still, even today, the key for working with or in medical settings, hospitals, is really to have the complete confidence of the medical professionals.
I think we have come a long way, and thanks to the foundations laid by the senior professionals, Dr. Atna, Professor Oza, Dr. Vijesha, who is no more. All of them have played such a pivotal role in getting it through. How can I miss the names of Professor Dr. Shailaja Nikam, Professor Saraswati Menon, Dr. J. Bharatraj as a clinical psychologist, Dr. M.N. Hegde, who was a great teacher at All India Institute of Speech and Hearing. Then all of them have paved such excellent, great way for whatever we are today. But best compliments to BOL Nair Hospital for being pioneers in this country in this field.
It was in 1965 with the help of the Danish aid. That was a free hearing aid which was given. We had one Mr. Subramania who was employed specifically for that purpose, and we used to call him as Danny Subramania. Even now he is there in Mysore. But I think the others used to purchase hearing aid from US and European countries and come. And Ishacon was the first company which came into India.
I think it started sometime in late 60s, thanks to Peston Jamas, who was the proprietor of that unit. But I think in public level, it was all started in the government of Tamil Nadu, I would say, where the government came forward in providing a hearing aid to people who needed it at free of cost. To the best of my knowledge, Tamil Nadu government was one of the first governments in the country to introduce free distribution of hearing aids in 70s. In large scale it used to be done.